welcome to Intrigue's webinar and navigating email as an entrepreneur. So I'm just going to share my screen with you guys. Awesome. So welcome to our webinar. We always like to start off our webinars by letting you know what our purpose is at Intrigue and our goal for, kind of why we exist and also why we wanted to do something like this. So our goal is to empower leaders to strengthen communities. We're focused on helping leaders grow and making our communities stronger. If we can help the leaders in our communities, their organizations will also grow, and it will make our community stronger and it will help it thrive. We believe that by helping give business leaders a voice, they'll have a better opportunity to be heard and get the attention that they need to thrive in our community and our marketplace. So thanks to COVID-19, more people are online than any other time in history. And we want to help you connect with those people who are super plugged in right now through email. So having a solid email list will help you with your business long after COVID-19 passes. So in this webinar, you're going to learn why email is so important, the types of email campaigns that you can create and use, and we'll briefly go over them and their purpose, and then how to grow your audience. And then we'll also do some question and answer at the end, which is so great when we have a bit more of an intimate group because you're able to ask a few questions and really kind of get that one-on-one experience. So we ask that everybody mute their mic, which I think everybody is, so that's great. Thanks so much. And then write down any questions that you have and save them for the end, or you can submit them in the chat. And we have our colleague Matt who will sort of moderate them and kind of let us know and keep track of the questions. So don't worry, they won't get lost. And if you want to, you can also write down the name or let Andrew or I know who you'd like to answer the question. We will introduce ourselves very shortly here, so you will know who we are. So this is me. Hi, everybody. I'm Rachel. I am just going to go look at something here. Great. So this is a photo of me and my husband at the Coliseum in Rome. I joined Intrigue in 2019. I previously worked at a newspaper. I love to cook, and I love to take touristy photos. I hope I'm going to be able to take more in the future. Doesn't look like this year, but that's okay. We'll prevail. Next, in this presentation, we have Andrew Donovan, who is also a content marketing specialist at Intrigue. And he joined Intrigue in 2018. And this is a picture of him and his beautiful wife. And his favorite quote is using adverbs as a mortal sin. And then we have Matt, our colleague here as well, who's actually helping us today, kind of in the back end. He's going to be working on some of the tech stuff, and he's also going to be moderating, helping with questions. This is his beautiful family, and some of you may recognize his wife, Vanessa. She actually also works with us at Intrigue and has for a long time. Awesome. So I'm going to dive into my part of the presentation, which is why email. Simply because email marketing works. I want to start off with a poll. So if you guys don't mind, you're actually going to see a poll pop up onto your screen. If you don't mind, just take a quick minute. Please answer this poll, which, let's see, we have I don't see any questions. I don't know if anybody else does. Tech difficulty or if it's just mine, but
I see questions.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
great.
you're good.
Thanks for letting me know. So what is the most valuable digital marketing asset that a company can own? If you don't mind, let us know your responses here. And then I may actually ask one of you guys to let me know what the top answer was since I can't see it.
So we got an email list at 67%.
That's cool. You guys are really smart. So we actually did a poll just like this at Intrigue with our colleagues. With all the experts at Intrigue, guess what? The answer came back. Whoops. It was the same one. So essentially, why your email list is so important is because you own it. You can take it with you. You can, if you change software, if you go from, MailChimp to Constant Contact to any other software, any other platform that you choose to use, you own it. So think of it this way. When you're about to start a business, something like a website is great. Maybe that comes to mind first for some people, but you ultimately need leads, right? And you need people to reach out to be successful. Email marketing has an average return on investment of 3,800%. For every dollar invested, the average return is $38, and that's according to Salesforce. Awesome. So a little bit more about why email. So 64% of companies consider email marketing the most effective marketing channel to reach their audience. A lot of this has to do with the fact that there's no algorithm to compete with like there is in social media. So some of you may know this and some of you may not, but when you're doing posting on social media, you're kind of subject to the algorithms that they have. So not everybody in your audience may actually see your post, which isn't the case with email. With email, you can also create really targeted campaigns. You can segment and group your audience based on information that you have about them. For example, did they click on a blog in the last email that we featured that was about when to get a new furnace? Maybe they're in the market for a new furnace, and maybe we should retarget them with a new email campaign to help them kind of push them over the edge, maybe give them a little more information. It's just one example of the way you can kind of really hyper-target people in your audience. You can also learn about their behavior. We can see what they're clicking on. We can see how many times they opened an email. We can see what subject lines they are most interested in and how they respond to them. When we have this information, we can use it to create even better email campaigns with more streamlined and ultra-targeted content. Email is also one of the easiest and most inexpensive ways to market to your audience. So no matter what program you choose, again, whether it's MailChimp, Constant Contact, there are a few that it's virtually free to get started depending on your list size and your usage and kind of what you're looking to do with it. And if you've got the time to invest yourself, you can create custom email content at almost no cost. Your email list is full of the people that you've done business with, ideally in the past 2 years, just to be CASL compliant and make sure that you don't run into any problems there. But we really, really recommend that you find a system of acquiring emails that works best for you. It's sustainable and manageable, like a CRM, and Andrew's going to talk a little bit more about that. Again, you own your email list, right? Huge, huge benefit. Like we discussed earlier, it's not rented, it's not borrowed, and it's not subject to the laws of Mark Zuckerberg. Email is personal and customizable. You can use what we call merge tags to address your customers by name so that they feel that little bit extra special when you're addressing them in an email. And again, it's measurable. And next, I'm going to show you some examples of how we go through reporting when we look at emails that we've done. So this really helps us figure out what's working for our clients, what maybe we need to change. So this is an example of an insurance company locally that we work with. And as you can see here, we can see that this email had over 1,000 opens, 118 clicks. We can see this 8.9% that that percentage of our audience clicked immediately on the logo at the top to go right to the website. And then you can see 77.4% clicked on a link to view the team page. So these are huge numbers. It means that they're really engaged in meeting the team and speaking to the team. So when you see something like that, you know it's working. So next, here's an example of an email campaign. And it's just letting us know how the 24-hour performance was. This really helps you navigate which time to send an email really works for your audience. It could be different depending on the industry. The day of the week could vary depending on the industry as well. We normally used to kind of stay away from sending emails on Mondays or even Fridays. But now it's shifted a little bit with everybody being home, being hyper plugged in, way more attached to their electronic devices. So you can play with that a little bit. But for example, you can see here that, 12 noon between 11 and 3 was a great time to send that email. People were really engaging with it and opening it. And then you can also see it, just all this data that we have access to, right? We can see how many people opened it. We can see how many unsubscribed. So it just shows us that, for an example, if we're having a high unsubscribe rate, maybe we need to do something differently. So now we're just going to get into some of the different types of emails that you can send out. So we have welcome emails. Again, there are many different kinds. These are kind of the most popular. We have newsletters, e-blasts, drip campaigns, also known as email automations, abandoned cart emails if you're running an e-commerce website. So here's an example of a welcome email, again, for one of our customers. And here you can see the hi first name is what we call a merge tag. So if the customer has provided us with their name, then the program will actually automatically enter their name so that it's a little more personalized. So this was a welcome email, which means that this automatically sends as soon as someone is added to the email list, either through the website contact form or manually in store. It doesn't have to include a coupon. I mean, this is really nice. But even just a welcome email, I'm sure you all, receive them. Thanks. We look forward to, doing business with you, or, you might get a monthly update from us. Whatever you choose, it's just a nice touch. And next we have a newsletter. So the cadence of a newsletter is really up to you. It could be weekly, it could be monthly, or even quarterly. It can include company and industry news, valuable content, sales, and product information. Really anything that's relevant to your industry and business and interesting and suitable to your audience. You can have a little bit of fun with newsletters too. So this is just an example. We opened up with an announcement, and then we followed with a blog. So what's really important is to include what we call calls to action, or CTAs. So these are buttons. These are things that you want your customer or your leads to engage with or to click. So think about where you want them to go, where you want them to end up on your website. Do you want them to request a quote? And make sure that that's where you're directing them. So this is an example of an e-blast, a really kind of focused email. It's not super designed. It's very much plain text, but it's got a specific goal and a specific message in mind. Now, this one was to let customers know that they had reopened their showroom after being closed for some time for COVID-19. So it was to let them know exactly how they're going to proceed, stay safe in the showroom. In these times, this is a really kind of important announcement to let your audience know. Some other types of e-blasts that we've done in the past are we have a home builder as a client, and so we let everybody know that they were having the official opening of their open house. And the subject line was, you're invited to our grand opening in Simcoe tomorrow. This e-blast did super, super well for them, had like a crazy high open rate because it was super focused. It was a really, really obvious and really sort of straightforward subject line, which is super important for e-blasts. Let them know exactly what the email's about. And then we have drip campaigns, and there are many different kinds of drip campaigns, but basically what they are is they're a series of automated emails, and they have a purpose to either engage, educate, or kind of nurture leads and kind of keep them interested. So they're very strategic with their messaging. Now, they can be kind of personal, like this one is here. You can see that it's actually signed off by Morgan from Bavarian Windows, the owner. So the really cool thing about a drip campaign is that you kind of set them and forget them. With email automation, you have the ability to send them at a specific time or based on a certain trigger to the subscribers with relevant information. It's useful for so many different purposes, and it helps nurture new leads. If you've ever gotten like a birthday greeting from a company, it's all automated in the same way. So here's an example of kind of the flow of a drip campaign. So essentially, there's a trigger, whether it's they were added into a list, or they clicked get a quote, or they downloaded something on your website. They get automatically filtered in to this drip campaign, and then based on their actions and their behavior, you can filter them through in a way that you'd like. If they don't open the email, we can have it so that something else is sent to them with a different kind of angle to get them to where you want them to go. And then you can, send them helpful content, send them whatever it is that you've got as an asset or a goal to get them to where you want them. So here's an example of the types of drip campaigns. There are so many. There are ones that are more educational, or there are re-engagement drip campaigns, training, promotional drip campaigns. If you've got, sales or special pricing going on. We'll also send you guys this slide deck too, if you'd like to take a closer look at some of these things. Here's an example of an abandoned cart email for one of our customers that we just set up an e-commerce site for. So if you have an e-commerce website where you're selling anything on the website or offering any kind of service that your customers can buy, we would really recommend an abandoned cart email. Just kind of lets them know they didn't complete the purchase. It's just kind of another nudge, another contact to remind them to finish what they were doing. So, that's basically it for me. It's just, I want to finish with, one super important point, which is that don't forget to include calls to action. Calls to action in your emails, whatever they are. Keep it really simple. Use color contrast and use buttons. Don't let people succumb to decision paralysis. You really want to make it clear where they're supposed to go. Again, think about what your goal is. If you want them to get a quote, you want them to contact you, you want them to download something, that's where you want to send them with those buttons. I'm just going to unshare my screen now, and Andrew's going to take over.
Thanks, Rachel. Hello, everyone. Just want to reiterate what Rachel said and thank you all for coming. I'm going to try and share my screen here, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to grow your email list, because obviously to do all the fun things that Rachel just showed you, you got to grow an email list. You got to have an audience. So let's go over that. I'm assuming you can see that. Can I get a thumbs up? Yep. Okay, awesome. So how to grow your email list. I'm going to break this part of the presentation down into 6 different parts, okay? So lead magnets, social media, contest giveaways, CRM, exclusive email content, and website pop-ups. These are the ways that you're going to be able to grow your email list. Start off with lead magnets. So just to be clear on what that is, it's an incentive, right? That marketers offer to a potential buyer that lands on your website, or really anywhere. And the exchange is an email address for a piece of content or a piece of information. I was actually supposed to have no, sorry, the poll's coming up. Let me show you 1 sec, sorry. So an example of this is a landscape spring checklist. This is one that we did for our friends at Geldermeer Landscape Service. These do really well. Checklists do extremely well. People like being told what to do, particularly on the internet. And if you could give them a handy little list that's easily numbered, easy to read, that's usually a really good call to action to have somebody provide their email address, first name, last name. Oftentimes these things are put on like their own separate landing page where the call to action is very simple, like enter this information, click this button, it'll get sent to your email inbox, and make it really easy for them. You want to have as little obstruction as possible for them to download this type of content. Another cool thing about these types of spring checklists is once you do have, or any type of checklist, I don't know why it has to be in the spring, but if you have this type of a checklist or any handy tips, these do so well in an email campaign. So once you've built out that email list, if you want to have high engagement and people actually engaging with your email and clicking on stuff, these perform extremely well. So something to consider for the future as well. Not only can these types of things be used to get emails, they can also re-engage the emails context that you currently have. All right, now it's poll time. Matt, if you would, is your business using gated content or lead magnets on your website? You just take 2 seconds and answer that. All right, we're skewing on the no end here. Okay. Cool. So 5 no's to gated content and 1 yes. If you're in that no category, we should probably speak after this because they're huge. They're so important for the for collecting email addresses, and it really doesn't take a lot. I'm going to show you in some other examples through contests and giveaways and website pop-ups and whatnot how to facilitate this. But they are an extremely easy way to start collecting emails from your audience. All right, social media. At Intrigue, we use MailChimp for our clients, and MailChimp allows pretty much seamless integration with social media platforms like Facebook. So you can actually have a button or an email sign up right on your Facebook page. One of the ones that I like doing and I find has pretty good success is just a simple call to action within a Facebook post, right? So use your different digital marketing channels to advertise one another. You can use your email list to get people to follow you on social. You can also use your social media following to get people to register for the email list. And like Rachel was alluding to earlier, the email list there's no questions asked. It's more important to have that built out than it is your social media following. Because, for all the reasons that she said, you're not beholden to an algorithm that's happening somewhere in Silicon Valley. You own your list. Moreover, the engagement on emails is way higher than social media. So something to take into consideration. Here's a very simple one that I set up for Foundation of Guelph General Hospital. Just let's stay in touch. Here's a link. If you click this link, it'll take you to a landing page, first name, last name, email. So simple. Contests and giveaways. I don't think I need to tell anyone that we all love winning things. Give people something to win. And especially right now, so I designed this like a week and a half ago, and I think there was still snow on the ground. But this is a portable air conditioner, which couldn't be any more relevant to how appropriate this is right now in this 30-degree heat. So, give people something to win. And I'm not saying give away a Honeywell portable air conditioner if you are in the shoe sales business, but you can pick something that's appropriate for whatever it is that you do. The more important thing here is to allow people the opportunity to win something, and the only thing they need to do is provide you with their email. It's a pretty easy ask. Here's another one that I liked, and I thought it was very simple. You want to win all that cool stuff to really enjoy the summertime? All you gotta do is give us your email. There's usually an incentive involved with something like this, right? It's typically not incentive enough to just say, hey, we're a business that also sends emails. Please do sign up. There should be a reason why people are signing up, and I'm going to get into some more of those reasons as the presentation continues. This is just another example of a giveaway that can be done via your website, an ad, social media, a dedicated landing page. You want to win a pair of these really cool skis, give us your email. I'm just trying to add some variety to the presentation. I realize that obviously this is a very small niche, but I would suggest focusing on your niche when it comes to giveaways, just because that's why people are following you. But on that note, I'm going to contradict myself very briefly. Everyone loves a Starbucks gift card, or a gift card to a local like deli or something like that. So those work too. That doesn't necessarily have to be about your business. Does your business use a customer relation management system? If it does, which most do, you should probably be using that to build your email list, because it's very likely that your CRM does have a bunch of email lists in it already. The only thing that you're going to need to make sure of is that you're CASL compliant. So CASL stands for Canadian Anti-Spam Legislation, and it's we have one of the best like anti-spam legislations in the world. A lot of countries do look to what we do as ways to prevent spam from happening in people's inboxes, because no one likes spam. There are a few things that you need to consider when being CASL compliant. So you need to have implied consent or express consent from the person that's registered for your email list. You need a record of their consent, and you need to have an unsubscribe button. On a platform like MailChimp, which is super easy drag and drop style email design, it actually will not let you send an email unless there is an unsubscribe button. And the interesting thing about that is that, technically speaking, in the States, their anti-spam legislation isn't as robust as ours, and you could technically send an email without having an unsubscribe button, but it doesn't matter. MailChimp, which is the biggest, it's like the Facebook of email automation services, they make you have an unsubscribe button, because no one wants to have to reply to unsubscribe or not know where the unsubscribe button is. It should be very clear that it's at the bottom of the email, and that all you have to do is click it. So consider that. We'll often get clients who want us to send emails to a whole whack of email addresses that they've collected over 5, 10, 15 years. Unfortunately, we can't do that. If they have contacted you about doing business, or they've done business with you within the past 2 years, you are within your rights to send them promotional material. So whether they're a prospect or a customer or past customer, as long as it's been within a 2-year period, you can send them promotional material via email marketing. So some ways to get people to sign up for your email list is exclusive email content. And I'm going to start off with some tips and FAQs. Again, there needs to be an incentive, right, for people to provide you with their email address. So if you offer them exclusive email content in the forms of tips and FAQs, not only do you, business owner, position yourself as an expert in the field, but you're feeding them content that they can use right away. You're positioning yourself as the expert, and you're building that rapport. You're building that trust for the people that are reading these emails. I've said this a bunch of times before, and I said in a past webinar about social media marketing. The success of HGTV, ironically enough, is that they tell you exactly what you need to do. They will give you all the steps in plain English, and even say, hey, go to our website and check out the steps. You can read them there and download all that. What do most people do? They're going to call a pro. Okay, so don't be worried about giving away all your tips and tricks and industry secrets. They're going to call you. 99% of people will. So give them value in the email, make them feel like they learned something. You'll still get that phone call or email from them. Upcoming events. So as an example, we do email marketing for a couple of restaurants locally in town. They often will feature specials or holiday events that they're going to be running. Email marketing is a great time to let people know about that, particularly when you consider that if you're doing email marketing properly and you're not spamming people and you have a good built out list, your open rate's probably going to be 25 to 35% of people who get it. Compare that with the reach on social media, which is around 5%. Again, you can't compare the two. Email always wins out when it comes to engagement from your audience. We also have clients in the furniture industry. Rachel showed you a little bit an example of that earlier with Smitty's. They advertise special events that they're going to be hosting. So, like a Labor Day weekend event or a Canada Day weekend event, a one-day only event that people might want to know about and come in store and take advantage of that. That's another great way of putting valuable things in your email. They're going to make people want to subscribe. Next, community news. Are you going to be participating in the Santa Claus Parade? Is there a big festival in town, like a Rib Fest or something that, for whatever reason, your company is going to be at, handing out promo, or just going to be walking around handing things out? Let people know about that. Not only is it boosting the community that you live in, but it's telling people to go out and engage in community events, and it's also showing that you participate in your community. And oftentimes that can be more important than what it actually is that you're selling. People want to see and they want to support communities that are also supporting folks in their community. So let them know about these things. You can even have other fun tips for email when it comes to community news. It can be about your own internal community. So is somebody celebrating a milestone or a birthday? Does somebody have a baby? Does somebody bring a cute pet into the office? Like, these are all things that are valuable that you can put within your email marketing campaign that are going to make people want to engage with what you're saying. And it's going to give them, again, incentive to join your list and be a part of this little community that they receive emails from you, once a month or once every other month. It all adds up. And lastly, discounts. You'll see this all the time. So somebody, in a pop-up or whatever, they'll say if you register for our email list, you'll get 10% off of your next order. Or conversely, within the email, hey, next month we're sending out all our new discounts or sales or promos that we're going to be running. Sign up now and you'll get those later. You're just trying to create incentive to grow your list. Website pop-up. I touched on this very briefly in the contest and giveaway section. but it's worth mentioning again because it's the most obvious way to grow email subscribers, to gain email subscribers. This is an example of one that that we have on our website right now, that Intrigue has on our website right now. Get ready to open back up for business. This has done pretty well for us in terms of getting new leads, because people are curious about how to open their business back up. You can make them timely, like the one that we have, or you can offer exclusive content, say PDFs, checklists, white papers, again, FAQs, those types of things. Hey, here's what you're going to get immediately if you sign up for my list. It's going to be in your inbox like 30 seconds later. So spell it out for them, because if you don't, people aren't going to subscribe. Just another nice website pop-up that I liked. It's so plain and simple, but also kind of aesthetic, and it tells you exactly what you're signing up for and why you should sign up. So consider that. You can also have other say other things like stay up to date, find out more, receive X amount off of your next order. Have fun with it. Don't be afraid to fail either. Some pop-ups are going to work better than others. They're not all created equal, and your audience is going to have different triggers as to what makes them want to subscribe to you. So try different things out. Switch it up once a month and see what gets the most reaction from the people who are visiting your website or going onto your social media or what have you. Yeah, so they work. I think I've illustrated that to some extent, but Intrigue has gained over 300 email signups in the past 10 months just from the pop-up on our website. That's just one avenue, right? So you combine that with every other avenue, our sales staff going out and having conversations with people, people like yourself attending these webinars and getting emails that way. There's so many ways that you can grow your email list healthily. But having a sign up, having a pop-up on your website is probably one of the most obvious ways. There's a reason for that. It's because it's effective. So I know that all that was a ton of information. Like Rachel said, we're going to be sending these slides to you in a follow-up email. It's going to go out shortly. But with that being said, we've come up to the presentation part, the end of the presentation part of this webinar. So I hope you guys have been writing down some questions, because now would be the opportune time to ask them. You can either unmute yourself and ask that way, or simply just enter it into the chat.